were alive. I thought we would be safe forever. But forever isn't as long as I'd hoped.
This last one really was distinct from part one, especially for your character. You're the one that transforms.
Yes. I know, I think we definitely weren't milking it when we broke them up into two. It was very necessary, I think. Yeah, no, we're living in full-blown Twilight vampire world now. There's nothing holding you down anymore. There's nothing rooting it in a reality that we can relate to. And I think that that's what we've built to. We fought so hard for an entire series to get to the point where you're just getting it all, being able to completely live in that world and indulge it. And I think that it's different.
It was different for you, was it, to play this last Bella Cullen versus Bella Swan?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know? First of all, action scenes are different for you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I get to actually be in them. Yeah, it was fun. I think the interesting thing about her too, compared to the other vampires, is that you get to see her be a newborn. You get to see that, like, the first few, not breaths, you don't breathe, but like you get to taste those, you know, self-discovery, mind-blowing sort of moments, whereas the other vampires are so established and they're so used to it and they're kind of stuck in it, and that's kind of one of the story points, is that they're kind of over it. And Bella is she's a good one too. She's like very good at it. Seems like she had all this planned out. Like she had a pretty good idea initially.
Yeah, like this is where she's more comfortable in this vampire skin.
Yeah, no,
this is
100%.
Her.
Absolutely. She's like a more realized version of herself. It's not a huge change. It's just like a growth.
You know, when you see the clips of you in the first movie, it just does not look like you.
It's crazy for me to watch that, of course. It's crazy. Yeah. I don't really know how else to describe it. I mean, I was 17, I'm 22 now.
Yeah. Now, your co-stars described this whole experience as a wild ride. I mean, is that how you think of it too? Because you came on board, you knew it was a popular book, but you had no idea to expect this huge popularity.
Yeah, no one expected it to turn into what it did. I mean, it's definitely been a wild ride. I think that it's changed so much as well. It's like, you know, making the movies versus promoting them, and I don't know, I think the first one had its own very distinct feel. It was a couple of us holding this thing together. We didn't know if it was going anywhere else. It was kind of like a one-off, give it everything you have. And also very much was in the spirit of the film. It was all about just feeling it, and like not really thinking too much about it. And then as we moved on, it was like, you know, you actually have to, if you don't have a sort of handle on what you're doing, you can't really appreciate it. And so to say that it's just a wild ride that you're sort of stuck on is not exactly how I would describe it, because I don't know. I just think that we were just lucky enough to be involved in something that
turned out so successful.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like really successful and big, but at the same time, always it never felt like we were servicing a product. It really did always feel like we were completing a process that we didn't really realize at first we got to finish. It was like a real serious privilege.
Right now, Kristen is not in. Did you remember the last time you were on set thinking it's over? Last final cut for you?
Yeah, it didn't really feel like it was the end.
Yeah.
Because I think both times we said it was a wrap, they were still talking of doing reshoots, and we did do reshoots both times. I mean, I did reshoots in, I think, this year.
So there was no ceremonial end to it for you, actually?
Not really. There was some people had one.
Yeah.
Like there was a proper wrap in Vancouver for a lot of people. I wasn't shooting that night. I missed it.
When I first interviewed you for the first one, you kind of knew there was a lot of people who were interested in this movie. There was a lot of fans. Did you expect it to be this huge, looking back now?
No, not at all. I mean, and especially to keep this level of intensity on the 5th movie, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it seems like the audience has stayed exactly the same kind of ratio of young to old as well. They haven't got older or anything. It's just so crazy. And they still have the same reaction as well.
Well, this last one's great. I mean, it just goes out with a bang.
No, definitely.
You know?
And it's suddenly, yeah, it's strange for a final movie in a series to suddenly introduce all these new characters and everything. And like quite complicated ideas as well into it, like in terms of the vampire lore and the mythology and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious how people interpret it.
And then finally, Bella, you get to see her as the vampire. She looks more like Kristen as a vampire. I mean, that in a positive way. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? She's they glamorized her or something.
Yeah.
Bella.
That's funny. Yeah, she definitely looks different in the first one. Like, especially even the clothes. It's kind of a completely different character by the end of it.
Do you still have the fans chasing you on your other set? Is it still happening quite a bit?
Yeah. Which is, yeah, it's still very strange. I was doing this movie called Cosmopolis, and it's just so odd. It's a very, very odd movie, and kind of very different character. And then to see that, you can see this crowd waiting at the side of the set, waiting for, I don't know, like you know, signing Twilight pictures and stuff, and they're sort of watching, expecting Edward, and just thoroughly disappointed.
Rob also says he's keeping busy post-Twilight. He tells me he plans to join Carey Mulligan in a movie called Hold On To Me.